Hello, welcome back to Final Fantasy VIII Remastered Collectathon. So that's exactly what I did. Not going to showcase the grinding it takes to get the materials we need for our ultimate weapons, but I am going to point out how at least to do it. So as you can tell, I've been through some trials and tribulation here, trying to deal with the Malboros as they came about. So fans of the game are going to know exactly where I'm at. And we are on the island closest to Hell. So there's 2 islands in this game that house level 100 monsters every single time you run into them, along with draw points. If you just kind of smash X around here, you'll see that there's high level magics to be drawn. So you'll pull off some, like you see there, you got Ultima, Triple, Meteor, Full Life. You get the best magics. Now, you'll get them in small little abundances here, but the draw points actually reset very quickly. So this is the Island of Hell, and then the one of Heaven is this way. Pop out from the other side of the map, and then land on this little guy right here. And if you open up your inventory here, you'll see the island closest to Heaven. Now, what's important about these 2 islands, other than leveling up, they house these powerful magics that you can draw from continuously. But more importantly, they have a lot of the materials that we need for our endgame weapons, and more specifically in order to summon our GF. And today I am going to go over how to get GF Doom Train, which we finally got the materials to do this. If you need to, use your phone, pen and paper, whatever you want to do, and write down the materials that you're actually going to need for your ultimate weapons, alright? So your ultimate weapons are going to be found in the Weapons Monthly 1st issue and the Weapons Monthly August issue. If we look in the August issue, we're looking for the Urgeis, which is going to be Zell's ultimate weapon, requiring the Adamantine, 4 Dragon Skins, and 1 Fury Fragment. And Questus' weapon, which is Save the Queen, which requires 2 Malboro Tentacles, 4 Sharp Spikes, and 4 Energy Crystals. Now, in the last episode, I said I was going to go ahead and get at least 8 Energy Crystals, because that's how much you're going to need in order to get all these weapons. So I ended up with 9, and Odin came along and actually leveled me up a lot more than I would have liked, but, you know, 19 levels later, here we are with a level 59 Squall now. Not a big deal if you're gonna take levels when Odin shows up, because he's gonna help you get experience, right? There's no way to stop it, unless you just outright don't get him. Now, if you opted to not go for Odin, I would say at least get him before you head over to Lunatic Pandora for the closing chapters of Disc 3, so that you don't miss out on a hidden GF. Now, the hidden GF, I think, is not that great, and he isn't a GF in the sense that you can, you know, put him in a junctioning system or anything like that, but he replaces Odin, and his abilities are similar to Odin, but he adds a little bit more. He's not an always insta-kill, so it's up to you if you really do want to get this guy, but, you know, if it's your first time through and you want to see, like, a new cutscene or something like that, and you want to do everything there is to do in this game, just go get Odin before you go to Lunatic Pandora and continue the quest line. So, back to the magazines. We figured, you know, we need all these materials, and how exactly are we going to get these materials, right? Well, back then there was no, there was guides, but you'd have to buy them and read them and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully there's, a whole list of guides or whatever around the internet to help you get these things. But very simply, Adamantine can be refined from the Minotaur card for 10 of them, which I think like 4 out of the 6, ultimate weapons actually require it. So, or you can go to the beaches of Dalit, and you can go ahead and farm Adamantoise turtles over there. So when we go open your map and find all it, and actually to go over there anyway, there's this beach right here will actually spawn adamantoise turtles. So every now and again you're going to run into the Fasticalans, but you'll get into a battle with the adamantoise. And they can be kind of difficult to deal with because they like to shell themselves up and their defense becomes like 255. The way to counterbalance that though is to cast Meltdown and make their vitality hit 0. And then you'll be able to hit them, you know, for max damage every single time. They might be weak to death. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've done anything with the adamantoise turtles. And I'm not, you know, I already got the materials I need anyway, so I'm not worried about it. I think the easiest way to do it is to refine Minotaur. Because you're going to be able to get Minotaur card back anyway, as long as you did the CC group card quest. So it's not a big loss in my opinion. And we are done with like doing anything meaningful with card battling, like any NPCs and stuff like that. We're kind of done with that for now. The only thing remaining with the card stuff is, you know, any GFs that we haven't found yet, or any boss battles that are still yet to come will drop some cards for us. But other than that, we are done. You know, you play cards whenever you want, you can go to whatever town, but the rules are terrible, and we still have, you know, the late game to pick up every single card that we're missing, which isn't too much. So in this playthrough, I opted not to do the Queen of Cards quest because I just don't like it. There's too much RNG manipulation in that one, and I didn't know how well that's going to fit into a video, and it was just going to be way too confusing, so I'd rather just do it in a more simpler method. But anyway, so up here in Dalit, like I said, you can farm the adamantoise turtles here, you know, use level up, level down, get their sweet spot, see where they start dropping adamantine, if you need to go that route, or you can just refine the Minotaur card. Now, going back into the weapons, now you see a whole bunch of items that are like not the easiest to acquire, to be honest. Star fragments can be acquired from high-level dinosaurs, which you will find on those islands of Heaven and Hell. All you gotta do is just kill them, and they'll usually drop them in 2s or 3s. And then, you know, you're gonna take levels though, so that's the problem with that. Or you can carve them as well, and not take the experience. Just usually depends on if Odin's gonna rear his head or not. Moonstones are grabbed from the Elenoil enemy that also drops the energy crystals. Now, Elenoil enemies are immune to level up and level down, as I found out, again. So you'll have to have a high level Squall in order to pull off energy crystals. Or at the very least, you're going to have to just keep fighting them and carding them and hope that they have a rare drop of, you know, their energy crystals, which low-level Elenoils will usually drop too, for their rare drop. And then additionally, the third option is to go get the GF Bahamut and learn his rare item ability, which will allow you to extract rare items a lot easier in battles, which I think he already comes with as a ability learned. But simplest way to get star fragments, and you need at least 5 of them, is to go to one of those islands, or inside the garden, or in the forest of Balam, and fight those dinosaurs at high levels in order to get the star fragments. So I have 6, so I have plenty to get that done. And then for the pulse ammo, you actually have to refine the energy crystals into pulse ammo. 1 energy crystal will refine into 10 pulse ammos. So go ahead, you know, and do that. You might also want to consider, you know, getting more energy crystals, because pulse ammo is actually very, very powerful. It's just really hard to acquire. But there shouldn't be an issue because we will find Elenoils in the end game dungeon, so that doesn't matter too much. And honestly, Irvine comes with so many different ammos that you'll have to burn through a lot anyway. Renoa's ultimate weapon requires windmills, which we've been pulling off of Thrust Avis enemies since the beginning of the game. And even at late levels, they drop it more sparingly this time. So, you know, go after them. You can still find them in the Galbadia region. They're never going to move. Region Ring, you can refine the Tarama cards into that thing, or you can just simply win it off of certain enemies. I think I got my Region Rings off of the Nesmeries. It's a rare drop, but I do have one. Force Armlet can be won from Sorceress Adia in the second battle if you did not opt to mug her for her Royal Crown. But if you did get the Royal Crown, what you can do is use your Call Shop ability and use the S-Star Pet Shop here. And then you can buy a Force Armlet as long as Tonberry has learned Familiar, which will allow you to buy rare items. So that's another way to get a Force Armlet, which I did not have because no other enemy in the game will drop Force Armlet other than her. Maybe that's not true for the end game, but I mean at end game, you know, we're trying to already have these things in our possession before we even reach it. Energy Crystal, obviously, right? Went through that with the Illinois. Gotta make sure that I have Dino Bones at the very least. I did use them for some stuff, right? So I have plenty. And Curse Spikes you find off of the Tri-Face enemies, so they actually, if you mug them, they drop a lot, especially high-level ones, usually between 6 or 8. And if you just refine their card, you'll get Curse Spikes anyway. Because more than likely, if you have gone through and actually farmed those Tri-Faces back at Galbadia Garden, you ended up getting 100 and used it to make a Dark Matter, which taught Questus her grand Shock Pulsar move for her blue magics. So you'll have to end up getting that back if you want to. Honestly, the Curse Spike thing is only just for her blue magic. But just make sure you have enough Curse Spikes for Selphie's ultimate weapon there. I'm trying to make sure I do too. Does not seem like I have one, so card mod. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go get more sharp spikes, or curse spikes. Which is okay, because you can card battle somebody for you know, a Tri-Face and try to get another one easily, or you can just go find them and battle them. They're also on the islands closest to Heaven or Hell if you want to take that route. Just a little bit tougher, obviously, with being a level 100. And then we got Fury Fragments are actually found off of an enemy called the Blue Dragon. And the Blue Dragon drops 3 of the items that we need if you're lucky enough. So if you beat the Blue Dragon on the islands closest to Heaven or Hell, you'll end up getting Dragon Fangs, which is required for Squall's weapon. Now, I collected quite a few Dragon Fangs already from beating them on that island. So that part for me is done. If you mug them, you'll get Fury Fragments, which you only need 1. So, you know, as long as you pull off, you'll get 8 Dragon Fangs for those dragons on the islands, because they're already level 100, so you don't have to worry about that. And then Fury Fragments, go ahead and mug those guys, and then they have a rare chance at dropping the Dragon Skin. Now, I think getting their Dragon Skin is the hardest thing to do, unless you know, use the Bahamut method or whatever. And I actually opted not to do that because there is a much easier way to do it. So if you come to the Dalit region and we try to find some anacondors, they're usually on top of these little mountain peaks. And I actually want to kill this stuff before I get into a battle. There's another area that anacondors will spawn that I think is a little bit tougher of an area. If you come up to the old Dalit communication tower here, it's actually a confused or pain drop point. So it's a hidden drop point behind here. And then you just want to run these little top of the cliffs and try to run into an anacondor. So do not mug these guys because their common drop is going to be dragon skins at high levels. But if you mug them, then it's not going to happen. And if you want to, you can card them if you're not trying to gain levels here. And there you go. So we pulled dragon skins. That's how easy it can be. So that was one thing that I was missing, because I wanted to show that, because there is an easier way to get the dragon skin. And that is only just for Zell's weapon. He was the only one that required 4 of them. But you can get more if you want. They're useful for refinement, pretty much, and that's all their uses. Sharp spikes and Malboro tentacles. Alright, so Malboros. They are also located on the island closest to heaven or hell. And it's probably the easiest way to draw Malboros out. So let's go ahead and show some areas that they can exist. So if you don't want to go to the islands closest to heaven and hell, because they are very tough areas to deal with, and the enemies will pretty much one-shot you if you're not careful. What you can do is head over here to Esthar. And inside of this is called the Grandidi Forest. There's going to be a hidden chocobo forest inside this thing. And we're going to navigate a little bit. So right about here, in this area. How you get here, though, is by way of chocobo. And it is not easy to explain how you must do this. But for a simple turn, you see like this discolored water. This is like shallow water, so chocobos can actually run on this kind of stuff right here. And I am going to show this in the late game when we actually do the chocobo forest stuff. But you would have to take, you know, a chocobo pretty much over here from Trabia Garden area. There's a chocobo forest right here. And you're going to have to ride this thing, you know, already getting lost. Cross in the way through here, so you'll see the crater. Use this as your landmark, and then come out through here. Ride your chocobo on the shallow water, just like so, and then you're going to end up in this spot right here. Now, there's an easier way to get to this spot in the late game, like in the very end game. There's actually going to be like a way to get to this point. And then you can just take Squall and, you know, walk with him inside of here. So, but when you're on a chocobo, you have no encounters. You'll have to ride the chocobo all the way to its forest, and then let it depart, and then you can run inside of this forested area. The forest area will contain Forbiddens, Cockatrice enemies, and Malboros. Obviously, you're looking for the Malboro, and how you want to do it is you want to mug them, and then you want to run. Or, easiest method is to hope that Odin arrives and kills it, because then it'll give you guaranteed Malboro tentacles. It just depends on what level they're at and how many you get. And what you need to do is you need to end up with at least 8. Because we are going to need 6 of them in order to summon Doom Train, and then we need at least 2 to make Questus' ultimate weapon. And that's the easiest way that I can put that. How you're going to be able to do it, though, is I had Irvine as my mugger, and so I took away Diablos from Zell and put it on Irvine, because Irvine has Cerberus, who knows status defense times 4. Pretty much how you deal with the Malboro in this game is you don't want it to take control of your character with bad breath. So I wanted to stay awake, and I had to sleep. I don't want to be confused, because with confusion, you will start doing random things. Berserk will only cause you to attack, which is okay, because if your attack is changed into mug, he'll just basically mug on command. But I want full control in case things get really chaotic, which they usually do, and then you want break in order to prevent being petrified, because when they use their bad breath, you'll have a 6-second countdown before you end up becoming petrified. So that's how you want to deal with Malboros, and it's just, mug them and then run, or hope that Odin jumps in, kills it, and you'll get your Malboro tentacles pretty easily. So you can use the Grand DD Forest like I explained, or simpler method is to use the islands close to the heaven or hell. It doesn't matter, they are very difficult to deal with no matter what method you try to do. And then the final area that they will actually show up is within like this region of Esthar. So if you just run along the plains, they'll actually just show up randomly. It's a very low encounter rate though, but it's probably a safer one, because you'll know that the enemies are on par with your level. And that's pretty much it for the Malboros. And then we got Sharp Spikes. Sharp Spikes can be easily acquired from the Grand Mantis enemies if you just fight them. They're in the central region. Just kind of run around like the dark rock area. Don't run in the desert, because that's not where they spawn. That's more of sandworm territory and cactars. But we have, let's see. Or additionally, you can always just check your card mod. And Death Claws will refine in the Sharp Spikes. So I have 17 of them. I just couldn't find them in the menu for some reason. So obviously I have more than enough Sharp Spikes, but yeah, you're just looking for the Grand Mantis enemies. And they look like that. So you see something like that, they're really easy to defeat. They hit a little hard because of when you meet them, they're like a little bit high-leveled enemies at that moment, but nothing that you can't deal with. But they commonly spawn around this area, especially in the forest. Like, if you go into these forests, this is where they really start showing up. And it's only a 1-on-3 battle every time. I don't think I've ever seen more than one at a time. So they're not too bad to deal with. And if you run these rocky areas, you'll have more of a chance of running into Jelly Eyes, which they're also a very easy enemy to deal with. And just keep in mind with all these little chocobo places, but we'll do that. We'll do that content. Alright, so my next objective is to find at least one more Tri-Face card, or, visit the Island of Heaven and Hell once more, and try to pull a Tri-Face and either mug it and run, or, just take Odin and hope that he spawns in too. So I'm gonna actually try to mug these guys. Hopefully this works out. These islands are extremely dangerous. Then we just want to mug it, hopefully in one shot, and we get at it. Oh, what an unfortunate level that was. Oh well. Yeah, you kind of want to stay away from multiples of 5 at this point when you're leveling. Because a lot of enemies like to cast level 5 death at this point. And that'll hit me because I'm in a multiple of 5 as a level. So we netted our missing curse spikes there, so Selphie can go ahead and get her strange vision weapon now. That'll about cover it for the weapons. I'm gonna make them. I'm just gonna get into a better spot. Probably doing a belong since nothing's really that scary over here. And then we're gonna knock out 2 birds with 1 stone here. So what you want to do is go into your ability menu, and then you're gonna go into your ammo refine. Now, hopefully you learn a lot of these abilities early because, you know, we got Ifrit, like, pretty much first hour of the game. And he comes, and you know, you have to learn this ability with him. So there you have it. There's our energy crystals. They're going to be used, at least 2 of them. So try not to, you know, if you make a mistake, make sure you make saves. Because you don't want to regrind for these things. And then make 20 pulse ammos. And you can play around with this stuff a lot later. Irvine is actually really powerful, so I do suggest kind of, you know, including him in your team every now and again. Then we will enter we're going to enter Balam from here. Go ahead and hit this weapon shot up, and you'll see that everybody has their weapons available now, right? Because we have all the materials we need. Now, with the adamantine, this is your choice to make. I think it's just better to do it this way, but card mod, Minotaur. It's a good card, but, you know, we do have a lot better options, and like I said, we are kind of done with card collecting as of right now. So if you're okay with parting with it, this will be the first time I actually suggest using it. And with Minotaur gone, we now have a bunch of, you know, adamantines. And then for Squall, we're going to go ahead and transform his weapon to the Lionheart. For Zell, the Urguys. Irvine, his Exeter. Save the Queen for Questus. Shooting Star for Renoa. Which, if you saw that jump, I mean, it was 4-point jump. So not the greatest, but it is what it is, right? And then for Selphie, her Strange Vision, which is the second weapon in the game that will hit for 255%. So Selphie will never miss, ever, with this weapon. Which could make her a viable strat for AP grinding when you go to Cactar Island, and you know those Cactars are always running away from you. I always usually take Selphie with me so she can hit them, along with Squall. And that's it. That is all their ultimate weapons pretty much in their possession now. So now you're going to be hitting at your maximum power when it comes to your weapons. The only thing left to do now is to distribute, you know, who needs strength ups, basically. Using your strength ups and then using your strength bonuses, that's where you have to start making decisions on, you know, who needs it the most. Ultima and high power magics are obviously going to take care of that for you, though. So you don't need to worry too much about doing that. Like, if I equipped in strength plus 40% right now, with ultimate attached, I'm hitting for 255, which is the max. So that's, you know, pretty good for me. At this point, you're just playing a numbers game and trying to figure out, you know, who would need what at this point. So now that we're done with hunting down their ultimate weapons, what we want to do now is summon the Doom Train. So with Doom Train, as I explained multiple times, he is found in the Occult Fans magazines. You find this one, you know, early in the game. Pretty much as soon as you enter the library, you just smash around and you find it. And all these things do is kind of just relate information about what kind of materials and, you know, the amount that you might need in order to get it. Very obscure. I've been saying this since the beginning. It's just an obscure quest. How would anyone ever know this back then? I don't have any idea. But essentially, what you're trying to do for this guy is you need 6 steel pipes, which I always clamored to not use those at all. You know, cause they're very easy to pull off of Wendigos, though. They drop them as common, or you can just steal them, or you can card mod the Elastoid enemies in order to, you know, make steel pipes. So very easy one to get. The most difficult one I would say to get is probably the Malboro tentacles, just because, you know, it's a Malboro, they're bad breath ability, but you need to have 6 of those, at least for Doom Train. Now I got 8 in total because we needed to do Quest's ultimate weapon, and which we did. So we're good on that. And then the most obscure one out of the whole list would be this status full recovery medicine. I mean, 7-year-old me probably didn't even know what ST even meant back then, and you know, I'm just kind of reading abbreviations, and they're kind of hoping that all of us would understand that, but that doesn't give you a full clue on what you need to do there. So how you figure this one out is you're gonna need Alexander. So if you missed him, that's bad. You pull him off of Adia, but you want him to learn med data, which will open up medicine level up. You need to be able to learn this first at 200 AP, and then you're going to have to learn med level up, which I believe is also 200 AP. So use that Cactar method I used earlier in order to get those AP, or you can just grind regular enemies. However you want to go about it, just do it. It needs to be done. Then what you're going to do is you're going to call a shop. It doesn't matter which one. Well, actually it does, because it needs to sell you. So not a pet shop, but like a regular shop, and it needs to sell you remedies. You need to have 60 remedies on hand, which should not be an issue since you have plenty of money. And then you're going to go into the medicine level up, and you want to turn those remedies into 6 remedy pluses. So there we go. Now when you have 6 steel pipes, 6 remedy pluses, and 6 Malboro tentacles, you are ready to summon the GF Doom Train. And hopefully you went over to this location that I pointed out once we got to Esthar. And I want to be careful approaching this area, because if you run into Tears Point, a cutscene's going to play out. You won't be locked into anything, but it's just annoying to get. The hitbox is so wide. So it's actually sitting on top of it at this point. You would have to part, if you didn't get it right now, you're going to have to part Ragnarok from the outside and approach it from the underside here. So you would run into Tears Point. The atmosphere was already creepy, but now it's even worse, because instead of pulling like Torama enemies and stuff, you're going to start pulling Iron Giants here, which can be kind of difficult to deal with. But there's going to be like a little item right here on the ground. Grab it. That's the Solomon Ring. And that's the ring in Old Cult 3 that they're talking about that needs to be used to summon this thing. But I would just grab it before, you know, the world becomes you know, all dark looking and weird and all that kind of stuff. And then you want to take this ring and use it as an item. So find the Solomon ring, and there you go. Awesome. Now you got a really powerful GF in Doom Train. Doom Train is a status affecting GF. So if you summon it and it hits, it has a chance of, you know, inflicting a bunch of status ailments on whatever you're trying to hit. But the most important ailment that it inflicts is Meltdown. And if you don't want to use your Meltdown stock because you junction it to your Vitality or some other stat, he's going to be the way to go in order to inflict that status ailment, and then you'll be able to hit for max damage on anything since its Vitality is going to drop to 0. With Doom Train, he comes with a lot of good stuff, as you can tell. So you just want to pick pretty much any of your guys who don't have status defense times 4, start learning that right away, and, you know, give it to whoever you think might benefit from it. So I have Irvine with Cerberus, and I'm probably going to give it to the main character, right? Because I want him to have some coverage here. And allow that to be learned. And if you want to learn that thing right out the gate, head over to the Cactar Island area and just AP grind until you get it. And that's Doom Train. That's the GF that we were being hinted at since the very beginning of the game. So I think that's good for today. We got all the ultimate weapons. With Squall, he now has access to all of his specials. Because we advanced up to the highest level. So Lionheart is going to be the very most powerful move in the game that he can produce. There is no move in this game that will break the damage limit per se from 9999, but he does a multi-hit combo in that move where if you're hitting 999s completely, I mean, you're in a sense technically breaking the damage limit. But unfortunately, you can't go above that number, and there's no way to make it happen. Lionheart won't always be used as well. It's random, just like, you know, the other abilities. And more of the time, you are going to be pulling off, you know, Rough Divide or Faded Circle, Blasting Zone more than you are the Lionheart. There's a weird mathematical formula where Lionheart only kind of shows itself depending on the party situation in battle. So if Squall's like remaining with low HP and both members are knocked out, there's a higher chance of it, you know, actually showcasing rather than if he was just in an aura state and everyone was at max HP. That's not always the case, but, you know, it is low chance of it showing itself. But I hope this helps. I wish I could have shown how to get the items, but it's really boring, and you don't really want to watch it. There's plenty of guides on learning. You can just type in the name of the item that you're trying to get, and you just type FF8 right next to it in Google. There's going to be a plethora of lists that will bring you to these things. It's a very old game, so there's plenty of guides and more helpful hints on how to get this stuff. But that's always a method that's worked for me. Island closest heaven to hell. Grab the items. Use the Anacondor up above the Dalit area to get the dragon skins, because I think that's just the easiest way to get those. But every other item you can pull off of those 2 islands. The only caveat to that is that you might be taking levels, so if you're not into that type of thing, then you're probably going to have a harder time getting, their ultimate weapons. And if there's a better method, let me know, please, because that's the way that I've always done it. And it's kind of quick. I did that like under an hour, especially with like all these like abilities and everything that they added to the Remastered. So if you're really struggling and you don't want to really play along with, dealing with them or anything like that, turn on the power thing, turn on the known counters, do whatever you want on it. It's your game. We're gonna reach the end game no matter what. And up to this point, we've been doing really good and hitting hard, and there's been no real struggle so far. But that's about to change once we start facing off against the 2 super bosses, and once we get to the end game content, things get a little bit more ridiculous in that regard. But we have a good start right now. Disc 3's off and running. So hopefully those methods help you. And thanks for watching this. We'll continue on when I come back. Thank you.